Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a truly existential dilemma facing an entire nation. And this isn't just about politics or economics, it's a clash between two things that are absolutely essential for survival, a choice that's going to define the future for millions of people. So let me ask you something. If you absolutely had to choose, what would it be? A plate of rice or a glass of water? It sounds simple, right? But I mean, think about it. Food gives you energy, but you literally cannot live without water for more than a few days. So, what's the right call? You see, for an entire country, this isn't some hypothetical you debate in a classroom. It's a real daily struggle. And it's the very foundation of a national strategy that pits these two fundamental needs directly against each other. To really get our heads around this, we've got to be clear on what we're talking about. So let's quickly define the two main players in this equation: water security and food security. Okay, first up, water security. You can think of this as the bedrock, the absolute foundation for, well, pretty much everything. It's not just about having enough clean water to drink. It's the water you need for sanitation, for industry, for keeping the environment alive, and, this is the big one, for growing food. And then you've got its counterpart, food security. This is exactly what it sounds like. It's the guarantee that people have reliable access to enough affordable, healthy food to live. And it doesn't really matter where that food comes from, if it's grown locally, bought from another country, or pulled from a stockpile. Now, in a perfect world, you'd think these two would go hand in hand, right? But in Iraq, they're actually locked in a zero-sum game. And that creates a seriously difficult equation that the whole country has to try and solve. And this is what things get really, really interesting. Just take a look at this chart. The sheer amount of water that agriculture uses is staggering. It completely dwarfs everything else. I mean, what people use in their homes, what factories need, it's not even in the same league.
Let's put a number on that. We're talking about more than 70%. Yeah, over 70% of Iraq's entire water supply is consumed by farming, mostly for incredibly thirsty crops like wheat, barley, and especially rice.
But get this, it gets even crazier. Of that massive amount of water, nearly half of it doesn't even make it to the crops. It's just gone. It evaporates under the intense sun or just leaks out of old, inefficient irrigation canals. The level of waste is just mind-boggling. So you have this incredibly inefficient system, and it's all happening while the country's total water supply is actually shrinking. Dams built by neighboring countries are basically choking the life out of the legendary Tigris and Euphrates rivers. And then you throw climate change on top of it, making everything that much harder. So you can see how all of this is building to that central dilemma, right? This is that impossible choice, and it's right at the heart of Iraq's whole strategy for survival. Here is the trade-off laid out plain and simple. On one side, you have the completely understandable goal of food self-sufficiency. I mean, who wouldn't want to grow all of their own food? But on the other side, every step you take towards that goal just drains your rivers and groundwater even faster. This whole situation puts the country's leaders in a really tough spot. It forces them to answer this fundamental question: what do you prioritize? How do you feed your people today if doing so means they might not have water to drink tomorrow? It's a brutal choice. So what's the answer? Well, the source material we're digging into today doesn't shy away from this question. It offers a very clear and honestly pretty stark verdict on what has to come first. And there it is. That's the key right there. Water is the limiting resource. The whole argument is that one of these pillars supports the other. You simply cannot have food security without water security. It's like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation of sand. It's just not going to work. And this table here makes the logic crystal clear. Look, when it comes to food, you've got options. You can grow it, you can store it, and, this is the most important part, you can import it. But with water, your options are basically what nature gives you. You can import a bag of rice, but you absolutely cannot import a river. Okay, so if we accept that water has to be the number one priority, then what do? What does a real sustainable plan for the future actually look like? Well, the recommendation is something called a hybrid model, and it's all built around accepting that difficult trade-off. Step 1, you make water security the absolute non-negotiable priority. From there, you get smart about what you grow locally, and then you fill in the gaps with strategic imports.
This means making some tough but really smart choices. You grow what makes sense for your climate, things like barley and dates, and you use modern tech like drip irrigation to be as efficient as possible. And for those really thirsty crops, the water guzzlers like rice, you let other countries grow them and you buy them on the global market. You're basically importing virtual water in the form of food.
So the bottom line is this: true long-term security comes from protecting that foundational resource, water. It means rethinking that old goal of complete self-sufficiency, because sacrificing a little bit of local production today is infinitely better than draining the whole country to the point of collapse tomorrow. And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. A question that really sums up the tough choices ahead, and not just for Iraq, but for a growing number of countries in our water-scarce world. What are we willing to give up to make sure we survive?